So, next map, Infernal Shrines. Another really good Sonya map, quite frankly, and a pretty good Abathur map as well.
Oh yeah, they could certainly go for the Sonya again. Abathur also nothing out of the realms of impossibility here. They could definitely pick him again. Now we see the comparison here between KT and SOA. 50% win rate for SOA on Infernal Shrines. 33 for KT. Not the strongest maps for either of the team.
Indeed, it is not. But then again, neither was the first map. At least
True.
SOA, though, 50% win rate on this. Good chance of bringing it back. So, let's see what they are able to bring into this matchup.
Now, I want to see a lot of global mobility because both teams really did well using some of those. Abathur, of course, is a pseudo-global. He can always jump to his allies' side in time. I really like the coordination KT showed here with those global heroes. Same goes for SOA. The Huns were actually really good. Dehaka is a high priority on this map in particular, so it wouldn't surprise me to see a ban even on Dehaka. It's just such a menace. You don't want to deal with that guy.
Agreed. So we'll see if that's what they go for. Dehaka has fallen down the priority a little bit since his changes. Has been nerfed a little, but he is still pretty good. Here is a great main ban to start off with. Good poke damage. Great carry hero in general.
Definitely. There's hardly anything that Greyman can't do. He's good at wave clearing, he's good at poking, strong burst damage if needed. The Curse Bullet follows up very nicely with a couple of those hard engaging lockdown mechanics like a Storm Bolt, like a Variant Taunt. There's definitely plenty of room to use the Greyman, and I definitely don't hate the ban here. Genji though, SOA, they're like, you know what, it just didn't work last game. We tried to shut him down a couple of times, and even after killing him, Sonya and Murden were still able to ruin the day for us, so they're going to take this Genji out before it deals any more damage to them.
Which is fair enough. It was destroying their backline, and was a very fair choice of bans. So now, KT, first pick. If this was SPT, I would not feel bad about a Sonya first pick. The question is, do KT have to share that same priority?
I would definitely agree. So I think it's still so fascinating to see how little mage play we see in China compared to other regions, or should I say mage variation, because we're not used to seeing Golden, we're not used to seeing KT here, which are normally heroes that are being played a lot in the other regions and that are still good. Like a Golden, for example, I think could have helped SOA in the last game so much. A nice Fear Murden and Sonya to really isolate them. That, in my opinion, would have been way better than a Lunara, potentially.
Potentially, indeed. So, there is the Dehaka still coming in here.
Okay. Uther into Nubarak is always a nice choice because of Guardian of the Ancient Kings. 2 stuns to proc it from. I like it.
Quite. If that is the hero, if that is the talent you wish to run, or we've been seeing a couple of the cleansers. We can see if that comes up again. Tas Illidan. There's that Tas we were talking about, but this time it is KT taking out the Illidan.
I like it. This time they're turning things upside down. They take Tassadar into the mix here as well, which is so nice. I mean, the Life Leech off his Callous Embrace was nerfed a little bit, but still, it's good enough, especially in Illidan, who has innate life stealing in the first place. And look at the win rate. 65.6%, 21 wins to 11 losses. I'm just so happy that KT basically jumped on the Tassadar hype train again. And so far, their combo looks very scary. Now, Malthael, still available. A hero we haven't actually talked about and normally gets banned very early or picked away very early.
Yeah, we've only seen him actually once. He hasn't been banned at all yet in our series. We did see him picked before he was even allowed last week. That was quite funny. But in this case,
I like it.
He's only been picked once and then so far has been ignored for the rest. So we're going to start off with a Rhaegar ban, moving down the supports, seeing as they already have the Uther themselves.
Yeah, SOA just wants to deny the ultimate Hero League comp, as I want to call it, you know. Tassadar, Illidan, Rhaegar, that's such a goodie, an oldie but goodie, because everyone knows how strong they are together. Still, very little teams actually find a good way to play against it, because it's just so innately powerful. Now, the Arthas ban makes a lot of sense. Arthas, the single greatest Illidan counter in the game, thanks to his movement speed slow and the attack speed slow. He's very tanky to begin with as well. I like this shutdown. Now, what other Illidan counters are there? The Murden worked pretty well last game. The Sonya, definitely something to be considered as well, right?
The Sonyo could be very decent. It's all ability damage mostly, so can get through that evasion of Illidan pretty nicely. So that would be pretty good for him. I wouldn't mind the Malthael as well, seeing as Nubrak and Illidan both going to be in that melee range very efficiently.
Absolutely.
So either of those two as melee heroes. Who else could fit in that melee role?
Oh, we totally forgot about dear Cassia, and I love it. I like it. Not only does Cassia take reduced damage from physical attacks, which is basically all of Illidan's damage for the most part, as long as she keeps on moving, but also she has a very nice counter to his basic attacks called Blind. She can even go for, I think it's the level 7 talent that gives her an automatic blind whenever she gets stunned. Let me look that one up real quick.
So, okay. I think you might be right. But either way, they still are going for a double support comp with this as well. And Cassia, outside of Valor, is definitely one of the best heroes to fit in this kind of comp in terms of the great AoE damage she can do. Great energy generator. Really cool choice here. And they still have room for a second tank as well. Or even a melee. If they take a really high sustain one, they could get away with a solo main tank to Haka.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, it's the level 4 talent for Cassia called Inner Light. So whenever she gets stunned, rooted, or rooted, she unleashes an automatic instant off her blind. And also, the radius is increased permanently. So hello there, Lucio. Long time no see, buddy. I am very, very happy about the Lucio because I personally think that after the buff to his Amp It Up, he's definitely a support to be considered again.
As do I. I'm really enjoying new Lucio. I've played it a couple times in Hero League and have won most of them. So thoroughly enjoying the new Lucio. And this is actually now a double support with a Valor as well. So double support Valor versus double support Cassia here. The double support from SOA is a little bit more traditional, the Ariel Uther, whereas Lucio Tassadar, not as common, but could still work.
So, do you think that KT invested a little bit too much against the Cassia, going for another basic attack dependent hero? However, I just...
Yeah, not sure. It doesn't need all the basic attacks. There's reasoning. I wouldn't mind seeing, because they are up against the Blythe, the armor shield coming in from Tassadar, Colors Light. I wouldn't mind that.
Definitely agree. I don't think Life Leech from basic attacks is going to get as much value against all that blind. Even Oriel has a blind level 13, right? The blinding flash.
How much protection would you like? Because that's a lot. Zarya coming in, Uncle G, on that pink-haired Russian warrior woman there. See, that's Cassia. This is a support the Cassia comp.
True.
Which could work really, really well. Or it could get burned down very quickly. Now, both these comps, a little bit out of the ordinary. We're seeing the return of Lucio for one of the first times. We're seeing a huge focus onto just protecting this Cassia, which in the past has not been the most successful of compositions.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, while we're taking a look at the very lovely audience here with a Lufil in the mix here as well. He's definitely getting ready to play next year. CE is going to fight Wukong Gaming in the next series. Now, as Tetris said, it's going to be an extremely interesting game to watch because we have different philosophies in terms of double supporting. We have the classic Oriel Uther on the side of SOA, and we have the more exotic Lucio Tassadar on the side of KT's Illidan comp here. Now, I gotta say, I'm leaning towards SOA's draft here a little bit more because, once again, I think their draft is very safe. There's very little room for misplaying, I might want to say, unless there's like a Divine Shield too late or a Crystal Aegis too late. But they have so many good counters to the Illidan basic attacks, to Vala as well. I'm really, really thinking that they have what it takes to tie the series here.
I would agree, but right now, I'm really looking forward to seeing how well this Lucio plays.
Me too.
Because the Lucio shielding on top of Tassadar shielding with the Break It Down could be what is the game changer here. Dropping that shield onto both Valor and Illidan is going to make them absolute monsters for a short period of time. It's like the opposite of Bloodlust. Instead of going all in with extra damage, it's all in with extra protection, which is exactly when Valor and Illidan both excel.
Well, couldn't have said it better myself, but speaking of shielding and protecting allies, Zarya is in the mix, and Uncle G, as you pointed out, last week he's been tearing up, slicing and dicing people with his laser beams, and it was so good to the point that teams actually banded against SOA. Now, they have it back, and they make it work, though. Remains to be seen as we progress, guys, to game number 2 between SOA and KT. Couldn't be more excited about it.
Indeed. We are going to be heading into that after this short hype video, but ladies and gentlemen, let's go.
Alright, can KT do it again? Can they take the series 2-0? The Chinese experts, or some of them actually said yes, they can. Remains to be seen. In the blues, we have T-Dye on the Lucio, Neptune on his Illidan, Fury on Tassadar, C-Ink on the Vala, and Butcher, last but not least, on the Big Beetle, on the Anubarak.
Whereas looking to even up the series, it is start over against SOA with Faye playing the Ariel, Uncle G on Zarya, Tank Ovo on Dahaka, Spark BZ on Uther, and Shy is on the Cassia.
Every time I see Shy's nickname here, I think his nickname is So Ashy. I get it every single time.
Ashy.
So Ashy. There we go. All right, the piercing strikes have been chosen for the Cassia here. Definitely not going on any experiments here with potential Q build shenanigans, although I'd love to run that build on my stream every now and then. Going all standard here, we see Hammer of the Lightbringer once again for Uther. That really seems to be a trend in China, since they're playing on the live server where this talent has received a significant buff. Now the cooldown reduction even better for Uther. Now, very interesting.
Yeah, nice to see here. It is a pretty decent talent, like we said. The CC, especially against a hero like Illidan, is going to be really, really useful. We'll see how well he's able to utilize that. As we see the super aggressive push coming into this top lane from SOA. They've already taken down one tower. So aggressive in fact that Illidan has ditched the lane and is instead putting pressure onto mid lane, giving Uther a little bit of a rougher time. Also, SOA lane Uther, cool.
Yeah, really cool to see. So far, he seems to be doing okay. If we get a picture of the mid lane, we're going to see how many buildings are still alive. Actually, kudos to Spark BZ, actually not losing a single tower just yet. It's pretty good, and they got a lot of value in that top lane here. There was definitely nothing a Tassadar can do against so much damage coming in from Zarya, Oriel, and of course the Cassia. Zarya really good in those early tower situations because of her shielding, because of the ton of energy she can create in the process. Nice disengage here in the bottom, and a slight XP lead for SOA.
Indeed, they're looking to basically take towers everywhere. What they've done here is they actually rotated their top lane after grabbing both towers and the gate down to the bot lane, left Uther mid, which is a little bit of trouble, and then rotated their 3-man down to bot lane because Dahaka could tunnel top, so they didn't lose any XP.
Yeah, and keep in mind that Cassia is actually a formidable energy generator for Oriel, especially once charge strikes are active and many heroes are getting hit at the same time. And of course, those shields also from Zarya is so useful, and they're starting to tear down this bottom lane just as quickly as they did the top lane. However, they're starting to lose value elsewhere. Uther is struggling a little bit more now in the middle. That ammunition on the towers has run out. They'll take this tower, and they're probably now going to rotate for this first shrine. Let's see.
This is also perfect timing though. Even though that mid lane has taken a little bit of is under a little bit of duress, they can now, after the shrine, sit in the mid lane and attempt to get the towers there, which will mean it's a little bit more protected too. Cassia dropping some good damage here onto Baron. Nice. Focusing down onto the Zarya. Illidan trying to get him as well. Good healing from Ariel. Micro Uncle G. He gets focused down the burrow from Anubarak. Isolated kill there, but yeah, getting body blocked. And Uncle G not reacting in time, not running upwards, still trying to run away.
They basically put all their eggs in one basket, KT here, and they fully focused on the Zarya. Everyone else in their team went kind of low though, especially Illidan and Anubarak, while the remaining team members for SOA were all in good shape still. Now, as long as they can stall it out a little bit and wait for Zarya's return here, Uncle G definitely in full sprint mode, they can maybe still contest this, but I think it's probably going to be a little bit too late, so they should have maybe focused their attention elsewhere. This fight is still raging on Tetra though.
Yeah, the thing is Lucio able to keep the healing up for his team here, ticking them up, but it's still slow. Actually using a lot of that movement speed with Zarya back. The control is now in favor of SOA. There's only 2 needed here for KT. Can they poke it in? Not with Vala getting killed off. They can't, and Vala barely surviving thanks to the movement speed.
They still got the Anubarak though, so they still got a little bit of value outside of the fact that they lost the Puncher. Tassadar now slammed against the wall. Faye in trouble, getting chased by Illidan as well. Healed by Uther, supported very nicely here. And can they turn around once again? Keep in mind though that the Punisher is still pushing.
Punisher is pushing, it's being pushed, it's pushing unattended. as Lucio, using the speed boost, helps Illidan escape. So now we're seeing the rotation from SOA, gonna jump that Punisher away from their base. Actually, the two-man stun, slightly less efficient than they would like, but we are seeing the exact lane setup we said. Uther now rotating down to the bot lane to defend that instead, whereas the three-man rotation squad that we've been seeing is going to be the one defending the mid lane. But with the towers already gone in that lane, they need to push up aggressively to gain some value here.
And already we can see such a big difference in the way teams in China approach the Shrine phase compared to Europe, for example, or NA. Dehaka was actually brawling alongside his teammates for the most part, totally ignoring the fact that he could have actually soaked a little bit more XP, he could have gotten value elsewhere in the lane, pushing against the forts a little bit more in the meantime. No, China is all about brawling. China is all about team fighting, and even global heroes like Dehaka will actually join extremely early just to potentially get a little bit of a head in terms of, you know, team fighting process. Now, was it worth it? Kind of, no. But is SOA in a bad spot because of it? Not really. They still maintain a healthy XP.
Yep, they're still in a relatively safe position, not too far behind. They're all even on talent, so for now, they do not need to worry about it. Cassia goes very aggressively.
Nice damage
with her, so they are poking it down. Dehaka coming in, they want to get Lucio, but look at that speed. If there's one thing that can outrun a speed Dehaka, it's a speed Lucio.
Exactly. Lucio probably one of the few heroes these days that can still keep up with a race car. Dehaka, now very nice escape here for sure. I still want to highlight though how deadly Cassia can become now that she has a couple of, you know, those crucial talents like Surge of Light at level 7, the Explosion, the D-Explosion is so good, especially after she landed a blind here to really get the maximum damage, bonus damage done. So we're going to have to keep a close eye on Shy. I think he can really be the big deciding factor for SOA. Now, of course, that's one of the weaknesses, by the way, for Oriel. She's not good at keeping people alive when fighting against mercenaries and bosses because, you know, you only get good hope if you fight enemy heroes. Against neutral minions or monsters, it's not that great.
Yep, very true. So they do need they need to just hopefully not take too much damage from taking those mercenaries in order to not burn through all that energy before a fight starts and not have any for the biggest initial burst. But now though, SOA taking a bit of a head start on this shrine as bot lane is still getting pushed in. This is not over yet by the looks of it for KT.
I want KT to apply some heavy pressure in the bottom lane right now. They already have 3 people there. Illidan has the hunt, so he can join the fray as well. And then they can actually tear down this tower line. They can even threaten the keep, because SOA is all the way at the top here. They actually hunt on the Uther. They try to lock him down. Is it going to be enough to kill him, though?
He has Divine Storm, which he drops to give himself a chance to escape, but he's still focused down.
Nice, and that is already a very important kill. Not only did they destroy one of the 2 supports for SOA, they also forced the Divine Storm out of it, so it's going to go on a 70-second cooldown. Really, really solid. And they get the towers, and they might actually still pressure this keep. Keep in mind, Anubrek doesn't even need minions next to him. He can use his beetles to attract the keep's aggro here. Now Neptune, though,
Out of minions. The Beetles were tanking to break it down, having to be used to keep Illidan alive. But yeah, the Beetles hadn't spawned. Anubrak had no abilities to cast. So therefore, Illidan became the one tanking the actual shots of the keep. That very nearly finished him off.
Yeah, still good value. If I trade tier 2 towers, which is basically the keep's towers, for a fort, I would always go for the keep towers because it's going to set up future keep pushes so much more easily. And I think in that case, KT actually got way more value out of this phase, out of the Shrine phase, than SOA did.
I would agree. Like, even though the Punisher wasn't able to take top lane, KT still got some good value. Nice Aegis, protecting it. Expulsion zone to make sure there was no follow-up. A lot of heroics used, but everyone is safe as they turn onto an Uberak.
Look at the HP bars for SOA. They got initiated on by the hunt. Follow-up damage was there by Vala as well, but they don't care. They have a double 2.5 support comp, I want to call it. The Zarya shields, the Oriel heals. As long as they're clumped together and Oriel gets full value from their W, I don't think there's going to be much that KT can really do to kill them in a straight-up 5 versus 5 team fight.
So that is exactly what SOA need to do. They are in fact staying grouped up. They grab bot fort very easily without any kind of contention here. And even Illidan wouldn't have been able to join as he did not have the hunt. Luckily, that cooldown reduction on his trait, the hunt is now available again, but only just became so.
Yeah, also very important. I'm not sure if I agree with the Arca necessarily, because it also gets reduced value against the Cassia as long as she keeps on moving, so maybe the Force Ball would have been a better call. Anubrek in trouble though. Butcher is going to fall.
Divine Storm actually completely missing. Lightning
Oh,
Ball.
RNG!
Bouncing
Oh!
in. Lucio, why? Why have you done this to your
T-Dye.
friend, sir? Lucio on the run. He's getting focused down, gets a shield from Tassadar, speed boosting his way to freedom, using that Accelerando to get behind the wall and just makes it.
Wow, Lucio makes it, but guess what? The person he's supposed to protect didn't make it because he decided to slide a little bit closer. A little bit of a scumbaggy move by T-Dye. Pretty sure it was not on purpose. He probably just forgot about it. Illidan, in the meantime, look at the value. That's something we've been seeing by the Hunt Illidan players over and over again. A single Illidan, guys, after 10 minutes or so is already strong enough to take down a keep by himself because of the evasion, because of the cooldown resets, because he can dance around and just deal so much damage. He's always going to be a factor that SOA needs to take into consideration. Because even if they go for the strongest push, Illidan, by now, can kill middle and bottom keeps all by himself. Really, really annoying.
Now he's going to continue by pressuring that top 4. No, it looks like he is just going to come down and join his team. Make sure he is as near as possible so that he can just hunt in the fight. So that they have a better chance of finishing off the objective.
Haka still not in the mix though. They still need to wait for his arrival before they go all in. There is a brush nearby. Is the Haka going to burrow? He comes from behind in here, and Vala a little bit isolated seeing. On the tongue sits.
Grabbing a fountain, ready for the hunt. Hunt onto Zarya. They're using that as the focus. The Divine Storm already used a new right tunneling out to make sure he doesn't get killed off. Illidan already backing out as he took so much damage and the sustain from SOA. Like we said, it's so hard for KT to take a 5v5 fight as they all have to retreat.
We could basically see how SOA, there were this bulky 5-man unit in the middle of the shrine, and they just wouldn't move even an inch. Whereas KT, they were starting to separate and split themselves all over the place. Vala was the first one to get kind of isolated. After that was Tassadar and Illidan being super far away from the rest of their team. And as a result, they had to pull back, they had to retreat for now, and they're now going to have to defend against that onslaught that is SOA and the Punisher.
Yes, they are, and that's going to be rough for them. The Haka's not with them, but then again, Illidan is not with KT either. Now he is, as he charged in to try and get the Cassia here, but the Aegis completely preventing that. As such, this fort will go down. Can KT make something out of this? No, with the Haka coming in, they turn it around. The counter engage turns into a counter engage, and SOA picks up a kill.
Yeah, Uncle G now also stacked on his grenade quest. We saw the blue-purple shimmer there right now. But that exposure zone wasn't perfect. It still slowed Anubrak down. And hold a second here. That lightning ball is going to make sure that Lucio is no more. And SOA, as you said, how are you supposed to kill that composition? As long as Auriel has decent energy, Zarya is also fully stacked up. There's just nothing they can do. Cassia's running low on mana because she gets so many abilities to throw out. She's just never going to die.
Yeah, and that's a huge problem. We're currently seeing KT attempting to deal with this by taking stuff on the map. They've taken their Fallen Shaman in the top lane. Illidan once again putting pressure on that. The minion wave of bot is still pushed up as well, so they could try and put some pressure in mid lane when that is attempted to be cleared by the Haka as a 4 versus 5. But the issue is, we are seeing great rotation from SOA as well. They are still controlling at least a little of the map. True. And while KT are attempting to get themselves back in, doing their split pushing stuff, as we saw there, Illidan taking the camp and pushing top lane, that's when they lose keeps, because the SOA just pushes 5, and it's like, okay, if you want to try and play around this, we're just going to go kill your base. I mean, what are you going to do about it? The answer is nothing.
Feels good, man, when your supports are just never going to run out of juice. I mean, Zarya does need mana. Auriel doesn't need mana. Uther has Hammer the Lightbringer, so as long as he keeps on auto-attacking, he's never going to run out of mana either. And Cassia is actually the one who's running a little bit low on juice here, because her supports will keep her alive throughout the end of the day. Now let's see, Illidan engage on Uther. I'm not sure if that's the smartest target to engage on.
Uther, Divine Storms turning it round onto the Anubrak here. The Lightning Ball has expired. Silence onto the Anubrak thanks to the isolation, and it's gonna be Illidan who is picked on.
Yeah, Tassadar now being forced back as well. Anubrak Butcher extremely low on health here. He needs to get out of there ASAP. Now the Vala takes a little bit of damage from the poke here. But yeah, there's just nothing they can do. As long as SOA gets the 5 versus 5 engage, I don't think KT even stands a chance. They really need to try and catch someone by surprise. Maybe while they're doing a little bit of a split-soaking, split-pushing action. Like Dehaka, for example. I know it might sound crazy, right? You normally don't want to focus on Dehaka, but maybe that's your only chance. Catching him while he's doing his solo thing, and then maybe look for a good 5 versus 4 fight. Other than that, I don't think there's anything they can do right now.
Possibly, like you said, the solo kill on Dahak is not letting them have that opportunity. He's staying still in split push, but right now he's very close to his team, so there's no way they're going to get away with that. In fact, he's tunneling in from behind, looking for Valor. There's the drag, and Valor is destroyed. Lucio speed boosts everyone out, and once again spreads the lightning with ball lightning very far. And Illidan having to spend some time clearing mid lane because this fight is over. He can't do anything. In fact, he's getting chased by Dahaka all the way away from that lane.
Never reinforce a failure. That's probably what Illidan was like, because that fight snowballed and spiraled so out of control so quickly that there was no way he could have made it any difference. Like, when you lose the Vala in the very first seconds of the team fight, you know that this is not a fight to be won, right? So now they're going for the second keep of the game. We see a Frozen Punisher reinforcing SOA. There's no keep to actually damaging in the middle here, so this is going to be a futile attempt to actually distract him a little bit. And they're going for the core. They're going full all in.
This is the last chance for KT to defend themselves. Punisher still high, stuns up an Uberak. The Expulsion Zone trying to protect Zarya herself. While she does the damage, Divine Storm stuns it up, and that's gonna be it. GG. And SOA even up the score to 1-1, giving both these teams 1 point in the standings.
Yeah, SOA brute forcing their way through that game all the way until the very end, going for that 2.5 support comp that looked so unkillable. I do have to question the draft on the side of KT here too, though. Going for the Vala, which is even more basic attack damage against the likes of Cassia and a double support and a Zarya, might have not been the right choice. And you know what, Tetcher? In those situations, I wouldn't mind me some KT. Spreading the bombs left and right, dealing tons of damage with Flame Strikes as well. I think that might have been the better way to go.
KT might have been nice, I agree. Maybe someone else, maybe like reduce the damage output a bit in terms of range, and maybe actually just rely on the Tastar for range and just pick something more melee. Like, yeah, it's going to be a pain running into a Divine Storm with that, but maybe a Twin Blades variant or a Colossus Smash variant to try and burn through all that armor. Maybe even a healing reduction Zool just due to try and deal with all of that damage.
Malthael.
Just something different. Malthael, exactly. Something like that might have made the difference, but in this case, nothing they could have done. The Valor was the wrong choice. I
definitely agree. Like, Malthael, I don't think he was banned. He was actually available throughout this entire draft. And he does have the Touch of Death, which is a level 7 talent that gives him healing reduction. And you just use it with your Tormented Souls, right? And you have an AoE healing reduction, which is so great against the Oriole. Maybe that would have been the right way to go. Either way, though, we saw a very entertaining series nonetheless, especially Game 1 was a bliss to watch, basically. And SOA, they basically did what many experts said they could. They tied out the series, snatching themselves 1 point. And that's going to be very good, because they're definitely keeping track of Hot Slading RPG, who also only managed to get 1 point.